Good morning, everyone. In this brief talk today, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of artificial intelligence and machine learning in medical oncology. First thing first, the disclaimer. The images used in my talk, they belong to their owners and copyright holders. I'm using them only for the educational purposes. As you already know that over the last 2 decades, the computers have improved significantly in terms of their processing power. So we decided to use them in a field where we wanted them to mimic human intelligence, hence the name artificial intelligence. Another concept is of machine learning, as I mentioned earlier. Machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence in which we use mathematical and statistical approaches to improve the performance of the computers. Machine learning uses heavily the statistical methods and modeling to detect hidden patterns within a data set, and based on those patterns, it will predict the unknown values. So this is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning. Deep learning is a subfield of machine learning in which we utilize multiple layers of artificial neural networks to predict or to make predictions. What happens in machine learning is that we take a plain and simple modern computer with sufficient computing power. We equip it with artificial intelligence software, provide it with data and algorithm to start learning about the hidden patterns. This results into three different things. First is that the machine learns about the data and tries to find about the hidden patterns in it. Based on those patterns, the machine will predict the unknown we want it to predict. And after that prediction, the machine will continue to improve itself, provided we give them more data to the machine. Behind the scene, what happens in artificial intelligence and machine learning is that we input the data. We make sure that the data is accurate and there's a lot of it. The machine will analyze the data. And what it does is that after the analysis, it tries to find out the patterns, the hidden patterns in the data. Usually this is the most difficult thing for the humans, but machine can do it much better than the humans can do. And after finding the pattern, the machine will predict we want it to predict. Once the machine has done the prediction, it will store the feedback in its memory and it will continue improving itself, provided we are going to provide more data to the machine. So what is artificial neurons? Artificial neurons are not like something made of silicon or metal or copper or wires. It's basically a concept, or it's basically a model, or it's basically something mathematical in which we provide data for 3 or 4 or 5 inputs, and the artificial neuron, based on the algorithm, will provide us some output. Let me tell you that this concept is not new. It was first proposed 78 years ago. Now you would say that, okay, so what's the difference between an artificial neuron and a plain and simple formula for calculating body mass index? This is what happens in body mass index, that you provide height and weight of a patient, and based on the formula will provide you with the outcome of certain values. The difference between an artificial neural network and a body mass index formula is that the artificial neural network is based on something called models or statistical modeling. So the model keeps on changing given a certain amount of data. And if we keep on giving more data, the model will change its predicted value and it will improve itself by improving the probability of the prediction for accuracy, probability of accuracy of the prediction. So if we scratch the surface of artificial neural network, it mainly is comprised of 3 things. If you look at the leftmost side of the slide, there is an input layer. An input layer is basically where we provide the data to the artificial neuron or artificial neural network. This data is nothing but the values of the let's say for a patient about its gender, the conditioning regimen, underlying other conditions like primary indication of disease or something like this. And then there is a hidden layer. This hidden layer is not visible to an ordinary person. And then based on the calculations and the algorithm, the computer will output the predicted value with a certain probability of prediction. So the input layer consists of nodes, like there are three nodes, first, second, and third node. First node, the value is 1, second node, the value is also 1, and third node, the value is 0. And we call them features. So as the name says, these are the features for a given set of patients' data. How can we use this thing in medical oncology? Plain and simple. We provide the machine with certain algorithms. Based on those algorithms, the machine is going to take some image, let's say an MRI image of a prostate, and then using those algorithms, machine is going to go through pixel by pixel of that image and will predict if this MRI is containing a lesion or it is a normal MRI. Deep learning, as you see, that is another concept of machine learning in which we have more than one hidden layers. If you go back to the previous slide, or if you recall that in a basic neural network, we have only three layers: input layer, output layer, and hidden layer. In a deep learning or in a deep neural network, we have multiple hidden layers, sometimes more than hundreds, sometimes thousands of them. So I'm going to compare a plain and simple biological neuron over here. This is an artificial neuron. In a basic artificial neural network, you see that we have input layer where we can enter different features, one hidden layer, and then an output layer in which the neuron fires an outcome. In a deep neural network, we have one input layer and we have one output layer. Between the hidden layers, we have more than one hidden layers. So the input layer, we provide the features, and then based on the algorithm, the artificial neural network is going to run into multiple hidden layers and then provide us the answers. Obviously, this will improve the accuracy of the prediction for that neural network. There are three different types of machine learning approaches. One is called supervised machine learning, second one is unsupervised, and third one is reinforcement learning. I'm going to go through them briefly over here now. In supervised machine learning, when we provide a machine, a computer with a set of data, this data is always accompanied with the labels. Let's say we have a plain and simple computer equipped with machine learning and artificial intelligence software. So what we do is that we take 100 images of cats, different images of cats. So first image, let's say, is of this cat. With this image, when we provide the image to the machine, we also provide the metadata or a label that this is a cat. Then we provide the machine a second image and also we tell the machine that this is a cat. So we provided machine, let's say 100 images, and each image or each photo or each picture is labeled with the name cat so that the machine knows that this is an image of a cat. This is another image of a cat. This is a third image of a cat. So the machine is going to look at 100, let's say, hypothetically, 100 images of cats. But all these images are of a cat. What we do is that once the machine has finished going through all the images, the machine labels them as cats, and the machine has learned that the cat looks like this. In next step, what we do is that we take another set of images which is not known to the machine and we feed them to predict or to classify if the images are of cat or not. So as the machine has already learned from the previous images in the previous step that the cat look like this, the machine is going to classify those images into two groups. One group, obviously, the machine is going to predict, or the machine is going to tell us that these are the images of the cats. And the other group, where we have a dog, the machine is going to classify them in not cats. Why? Plain and simple, because the machine does not know that if it is a dog or a zebra or anything. So the machine only knows about one thing, that a cat looks like this. That's it. So this is called supervised learning, a learning process for a machine in which we provide the machine with the data or images or anything, but that data is labeled. Every single piece of data is labeled with cat or a dog or anything. So where can we use this type of artificial intelligence or artificial neural networks or deep learning techniques in medical oncology? Very important concept. We can use this type of techniques or technology in two areas. Number one, classification. By classification, we mean that, let's say, for the sake of an example, we have a group of patients we transplanted over the last 5 years. So we want to see that if these patients are going to uh, have a graft failure or not. So based on their input data, or based on their independent variables like age of the patient, gender of the patient, primary indication for the disease, type of transplant, HLA typing, TNC dose, CD34 dose, and all those things, we can classify that, or we can predict that how many of these patients are going to have a graft failure or the relapse of primary disease or anything like that. So this is called classification problem. So we can use artificial intelligence, artificial neural network or deep learning or machine learning to classify a group of patients into two groups. This can be anything, mortality or graft failure or relapse of disease or anything. Another type of problem which can be addressed with these technologies is regression problems. By regression, we mean that we can provide the data to the machine and ask the machine to tell us that how long a patient is going to survive after the transplant. Or in other words, time to death or time to graft failure or something like this. There is another type of machine learning which is called unsupervised machine learning. If you recall that in the supervised machine learning, the data or the images or anything which we provided to the machine to learn by itself was labeled, like every image was labeled as a cat or every image was labeled as a dog. And machine just tried to predict, looking at an unknown image, that what it belongs to. In unsupervised learning, the difference is that machine does not know the category of the data. So if you look at the left side, leftmost side of the slide, if you look at it, you will see that there are many, many images of circles and triangle and rectangle and square and hexagon. But the machine does not know that if it is a circle or not. So what does it do is that in such circumstances, the machine is going to use its own algorithm, and based on that algorithm, the machine is going to classify, or machine is going to make clusters automatically. Clusters means that machine is going to sort all the circles, all the triangles, all the hexagons, all the rectangles, and all the squares in different heaps or in different piles. And then it will present these to the human, and the human is going to look at them and then is going to use them and decide them what to do. So in unsupervised learning, there is no labeled data, and we need someone to look at the clusters made by the machines and decide based on these clusters what to do. In this slide, I'm going to put supervised learning and unsupervised learning side by side. So if you look at the yellow portion of this screen, we have first image of a duck. And this image has a label duck. The second image is also of a duck and it has a label also. The third image is of a rabbit, and we're telling the machine that this is not a duck. We're not telling it is a rabbit, we're just telling it not a duck. And the fourth image is of a hedgehog, and we're telling the machine that it is also not a duck. So we feed these four images to the machine, give the machine an algorithm of supervised learning, and the machine is going to develop a predictive model. In second step, we give the machine a different figure, a different image, a photograph of a duck, but it is not known to the machine. Machine does not know about this image. So based on it, what it has learned, it is going to use the predictive model and try to predict that if it is a duck or not. So if you see that the machine has predicted that it's an image of a duck. In unsupervised learning, if you look at it, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 images. These images are of different animals. 2, 3 of them are duck, 1 rabbit, and 1 hedgehog. Machine does not know anything about these animals because there is no labeled data. There is no label compared to the previous yellow area. The machine is going to use the unsupervised learning algorithm and will classify different animals into different clusters. So the machine has, after learning or after going through the unsupervised algorithm, machine has categorized all the 3 ducks, a rabbit, and a hedgehog in 3 different clusters. So there are certain neural networks or certain type of neural networks which we use in our medical oncology to predict things. We use convolution neural network or CNN to recognize the image. So if you look at the left-hand side, we have given the machine an input in the form of an image of a zebra. The machine goes through the different network and processes the data using deep learning and then come up with 3 different answers. Is it horse or a zebra or a dog? And also with every answer, the machine is going to tell you the probability of its accuracy. So zebra, it has 70% chances that this is a zebra, 10% chances that it's a dog, and 20% chances that it's a horse. So the machine is predicting with a probability of the accuracy. The second type of neural network is called fully convolutional network. It differs from the CNN in that it's a more sophisticated type of network, and we use it. It requires obviously more processing power of the computer, and we use it in mostly in MRI or CT images. Third type of neural network is called recurrent neural network or RNN, and we use it in sequential type of data such as language processing and genomic sequence and all of those things. We are not going to use them in our practice. So as I mentioned that artificial neural network, deep learning and machine learning technologies can be used in classification and regression problems. They can also be used in image recognition, speech language pathology, genomic sequences, and their recognition. Now we are going to go to use some plain and simple type of artificial intelligence technique to classify different images. What we have is that we're going to go to a teachable machine with Google website. We have some images of mammograms which are normal, some images of mammograms which are abnormal, and 1 test image. What are we going to do is that we're going to feed those images to the machine. First, we're going to feed normal images to the machine. Then we're going to feed abnormal images to the machine and will make the machine learn the model. After the machine has learned or after the machine has developed the model, the machine is going to wait for us. We are then going to feed that machine an unknown image. We don't know, machine does not know that if it is a lesion or not, if the image is a abnormal mammogram or is a normal mammogram. And we'll see what happens then. Let's go to teachable machine with google.com. And this is an application based on machine learning. Click Get Started. You can see that there are 3 different projects: image project, audio project, and pose project. So for the sake of demonstration, we're going to use image project. Just click on it. And as I mentioned to you in my previous slides, that we can use machine learning technology to classify into two different classes, certain images or anything we want to classify. So we're using the images over here. We're going to feed two different classes of images, and we would like machine to learn from them and then classify a test image into one of these two classes. So let's go ahead and change this class 1 to normal. The other one, second class, is abnormal. And let's give the machine some images. So we are going to use this option. We are going to take the files from our computer. These are all normal mammograms. We'll just go there, select, and upload them. Now, let's give the machine an abnormal set of mammograms. So go back to documents. These are abnormal mammogram images. So we have provided machine a set of mammogram images which are normal as recognized or as diagnosed by a trained radiologist. This set of mammogram images are those which have some problems, benign or malignant lesions. They are not normal. So 10 of these images and 8 of these images, we have already given these images to the machine. Now we are going to tell the machine to train itself and learn from these two images. We click train the model. The model is being trained. And depending upon the speed of the computer, it's going to take some time. Now, the machine is going through the algorithms, and you see the model has been trained. Now let's give the machine a test image. This image, we don't know if it is a normal image or abnormal image. It's a test image, and machine also does not know about it. So let's go to File, and we're going to choose an image from the documents. And this is our test image, and we're going to give it to the machine. The machine, based on its learning ability or pattern recognition ability through the algorithm, uh, it saw the normal images and abnormal images. And now if you look at it, the machine has already provided us the answer that this particular image, it is an abnormal mammogram. And the probability of this prediction is 100%. Thank you very much for watching, and keep learning.